internationalstudent.com's Google Hangout. Today we're broadcasting live from Valencia College in Orlando, Florida, to give you a sneak peek into the U.S. higher education system and into Valencia College. Remember, throughout the presentation, you'll be able to submit questions that our advisors will answer at the end. To do so, click on the application button in the upper right-hand corner of the Hangout screen. From the drop-down choices, choose Q&A. The bar will appear on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can submit your questions there. Now we'll send it over to Orlando, where Talia and Margaret are waiting.
Hi guys, welcome to our live video. This is Orlando, Florida. We're here from Valencia College. And my name is Talia, and I'm the Director for International Student Recruitment and Global Engagement at the college. And this is my friend here.
Hi, my name is Margaret. I'm actually a current international student here at Valencia College, and I'm from Venezuela, so any Venezuelans in the house, say hi for us.
So thank you for joining with us today. We want to give you a sneak peek into the U.S. higher education system. So I'm sure a lot of our viewers are prospective students that are thinking about coming to the U.S. to study, and there's a lot of things that are very confusing, and how does it work, and what is it like, and you have a lot of questions. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some different types of higher education institutions in the U.S. So we'll go over what are some different types, what is the structure. We're going to do a little introduction into community colleges. So what are community colleges? We're going to talk about how the classes work, what are credit hours. So it's very different in the U.S. than it is in other countries. We're going to talk about how employment plays a role into your education and what are some options for you as a student. And we're also going to talk about activities that you can do as a student to build your resume, and then a little bit about Valencia College too, specifically where Margaret goes to school and where I work. So let's start right into the presentation. So we want to talk about why do students choose the U.S. for higher education. Okay, so why should you even be thinking about coming to the U.S.? Well, there's a few reasons that we're going to highlight that are some of the reasons. In the U.S. we attract students from all over the world to come for college and for universities. There are hundreds of different programs available for students. So there's a lot of flexibility, and there's a lot of choices that you have when you come to the U.S. of what you want to study. You can choose whatever you'd like. There's also a lot of prestige. So you may have heard of universities like Harvard University, Stanford University, Princeton, Yale, Cornell. I mean, you can say the names of these universities pretty much anywhere in the world, and people recognize those names. And the reason that these U.S. universities are so prestigious and so famous is because we have a very unique structure of the way that the higher education system works here, and the way that what you're going to learn in your classes and what the outcomes are. So that's the reason why it's so famous, and why we have such well-known colleges here. You know, you could the value of the U.S. degree is very high. In most countries, if you have a degree from a U.S. university, it's looked at as something very prestigious, and they recognize the quality of the education that you have. You also are going to have a great cultural experience and a language immersion. So if English is not your first language, then you're going to come and you're going to get to study with native speakers. You're going to get to learn a little bit about American culture. And for multinational companies, that is very valuable. If you have a good level of English, a lot of times they'll do interviews with you in English. You know, all over the world, you have a big company that want to see what is your English skill. Do you have experience working with diverse groups of people? So having that in your background, and also having a little bit of work experience, and also networking, it means meeting with people from different places and having connections, is going to be very valuable for you for your career for the future. So those are some of the reasons why students come to the U.S. to study their higher education. Let's now talk about the types of U.S. institutions that there are available. So in the U.S. we have between 3,000 to 4,000 different colleges and universities. right? And one thing that's really confusing is what's the difference between a college and a university? So let me try to explain it, okay? So a college is a school that usually focuses on undergraduate studies. So it offers associate degrees and bachelor degrees. Sometimes they offer master's degrees, but it's usually just a few offerings, maybe not a lot, but usually focus on undergraduate studies if it's a college. If it's a university, so a school that has university in the name, that school would be offering usually bachelor degrees, and they offer probably master's and PhD studies. So they're going to offer the graduate studies as well as the undergraduate type of studies. Okay, so that's one of the differences you need to know. In the U.S., there's also public and private universities. Okay, and it's a little different than it is in some countries. A public university is state-funded, and a private university is privately funded. So with a public university, usually the cost is a little lower, but they generally have less scholarship and funding opportunities. And a private university is usually more expensive, and they usually offer more scholarship opportunities. So in the end, it can be sometimes something similar. I know, how is it in Venezuela?
Yeah, in Venezuela, sometimes because of the name public and private, we tend to think about public universities as they're free, and private that they're not free. But here in the U.S., it's completely different. You both need
you pay for
to
both.
pay. Yeah, exactly.
That can be something that's a little bit confusing. You actually would pay for either public or private universities. There's also a big difference in the size of schools. So a small college university in the U.S. is usually maybe about 1,500 students, so a few thousand students. A medium size is usually around maybe 10,000 to 15,000 students, and a large school usually has like 40,000 or 60,000 number of students that are at the school. So the size of the school can really vary, and also the focus of the school. You can have a liberal arts school, so one that focuses on like arts and humanities subjects, or you can have a university that focuses on research and like science and technology type fields of courses. You can have schools that are single sex, so you can have like a women's college. We have in the U.S. historically black colleges. We also have schools that have specific religious affiliations. So if you want to go to like a Catholic school or a school that has specific religious affiliation, you can do that as well. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're picking which school you want to go to. You should also consider the location of the school. So what kind of weather is it going to be like? Is it going to be snowing all the time? Is it going to be nice like it is in Florida? Is the cost of living, how much does it cost to live there? The cost of living in San Francisco is going to be different than the cost of living in the middle of the country in a place like Indiana or Ohio. It's going to be cheaper. So you have to think about all those things when you're selecting which school that you want to go to. So let's show the next slide, which is the U.S. educational ladder. And so that is a chart that kind of breaks down how the years work in the U.S. And some of you watching may already be kind of familiar with this, and for some of you it might be new or interesting. So high school in the U.S., it's called high school or it's secondary school. We don't usually call high school college or colegio like it is in some countries. That to us means higher education after high school. So the secondary level is called high school, and it's about 12 years total time. So in some countries it's 11 years or 13 years. Here it's 12 years in the U.S. After that, students have two options. They can either go directly to a university and they can study for 4 years and get a bachelor's degree, or the other option is they can go to what's called a community college or junior college. They can study 2 years and then transfer to a university and do 2 more years to get a bachelor's degree. And we'll talk about in a minute kind of what is a community college and why would somebody want to start at a community college. Then after the bachelor's degree, you have a bachelor's degree. So in the U.S., it's 4 years for a bachelor's degree. You can go for a specialization or a master's degree. And a master's degree is generally about 1 or 2 years that you can do in a particular topic. And then beyond a master's degree, you can also do a doctoral degree, or you could do postgraduate work. And so that's the graduate level. And a doctoral PhD is 4 or more years, usually 4 to 7 years of what you're going to be studying. And some of you watching may be interested in subjects like law or medicine or veterinary science. Those are very different in the US. It's not the same like it is in most other places. So people don't study usually law or medicine at the undergraduate level, so in those first 4 years of higher ed. They usually are going to study a different subject, so you can actually choose whichever major you want. And then once you have a bachelor's degree, then you would apply to go to a medical school or go to a law school. So those fields are specialized later at the graduate level. So you don't start and major in those subjects, you do them later. A law degree for at the law school, maybe it's going to take you 3 years. And to do medicine, maybe it's going to take you even more. It's going to take you 4 or 8 years afterwards. So the total is going to be maybe almost 10 years of study that you could have. So it takes a long time if you want to be, a doctor in the U.S. So that's important to keep in mind. So let's go back for a second to the next slide, which talks about community college and what is a community college. And we want to bring this up because we think that it's a great option for American students, and it's also a great option that international students should consider too if they're at the undergraduate level. So a community college is for students after secondary school. There are some U.S. community colleges that have high school programs, but most of them you would have to have high school complete before you start at the community college, and they offer the associate degrees. So the associate degrees are those 2-year programs that usually lead to a university, a type of bachelor's degree. And the purpose of a community college is usually to support the community. So it offers it's a low cost, it offers programs specific to particular regions, and there's usually a strong connection with the community that's there. So that's kind of what it is. So I know it can also be confusing at why would someone want to go to a community college, or why would somebody want to start at the university, and there are those 2 options. So let's look at our next slide, which talks about the benefits of both. The benefits of starting at a university, or the benefits of starting at community college and then transferring to university. And we have an example here of Valencia College and UCF. So Valencia College is the community college, and then UCF is a great university in Orlando that offers bachelor's and master's degree programs. So if you were to start at community college at Valencia College, it's usually about 40 or 50% cheaper than it is at a university. So the cost, like for example, at Valencia College, is about $9,000 per year. Whereas at a university is generally going to be more than that. It's going to be $18,000 to $25,000 per year, just on average. So by starting at a community college, you save almost a full year of cost. So that's one main reason why students would choose community college. Also, the SAT exam. The SAT exam is an entrance exam that people usually have to take if they want to go start at a college or university for the undergraduate level. It's not required if you go to a community college. You also will have a chance to start in one location, so you start at the community college, and then you're going to transfer to a university, so you can choose. Do you want to stay in the same city, or do you want to go to another place? So our students a lot of times will start here in Orlando, and then they'll transfer and go to New York or Texas or California, because they want to live in 2 different places in the U.S. and have different experiences. Community colleges, one of the bad things is usually they don't offer housing. Some do offer housing. There are some community colleges that do, but a lot of them don't offer housing. So that's something that is kind of a bad thing. Also, they usually don't have like big sports teams, like American football team or like basketball team. They may have some sports activities, like I think you participate in sports on campus, right? Yeah,
we do. For example, Valencia College has a group that's called UFID, which you usually go and get classes of. They have soccer, they have volleyball. We had Zumba last semester, which I tried, was pretty good.
Zumba, yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay, so if you start at a university, yeah, you can be at one place for the whole 4 years, which could be a benefit. They usually have not only big sports teams, but they usually have Greek life, so like fraternities and sororities. So kind of like those typical movies that probably you see American movies about what college.
Just like that. It happens just like that. Yes.
What college life is like. And then, you're going to earn your bachelor's degree at the university. So ultimately, you're going to earn that bachelor's degree of what you want. So those are some of the differences. It still may be a little confusing, but I hope that gives you something to think about, what could be the best option for you, the best fit for you. So at a community college, in our next slide, we just highlight some of the types of associate degree programs. So at a community college, you really have two options, okay? The first option is you can do what's called the Associate of Art. And the Associate of Art, although it has art in the name, it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
It's basically a general degree. So it's a general degree because in the U.S., all students have to study general subjects. So you have to study English, speech, history, science, math, these subjects. And you may think we have a lot of students that start and say, hey, I did this in high school, or like I really want to study my subject. No, everybody here starts with those general subjects at your college or university. So the Associate of Art degree, it's 2 years, and it provides you with all those general subjects that you have to take to get a bachelor's degree. And that program, after the second year, you would transfer to a university the third year, and then you do 2 years to finish your bachelor's degree. The other option for associate's degrees is called the Associate of Science, and that's a more of a technical degree program where you're like specializing in a particular area, and the idea is that after that you're going to go into work, or there may be some partnerships with like one particular university that you can go to. The Associate of Art allows you to go to whichever university you want to. What are you studying now, for example?
Yes, I'm actually inside of I chose Associates in Arts degree, so I'm doing all those general classes, more articulated into public relations advertising, because my plan afterward is to transferred to UCF, in this case, actually here in Orlando, second largest university here. And so yeah, to finish my bachelor's degree and get the advertising bachelor. So that's my plan.
Okay, so that's a good example of how you'd use that. So let's also talk about how do classes work and how do credit hours work, because that's a question that we get a lot from international students, right? Because it's very different the way that would work. So at U.S. colleges and universities, if it's undergraduate or graduate, it's actually just about the same. You are going to decide on your schedule. So the student gets to decide how they want to arrange their schedule. So at the beginning of the semester, you will have an opportunity to register for your classes, and the college or university will guide you. We will give you a list, and it will say, these are the classes that you have to take. And in some areas, they will say, okay, you'll have to take an area related to math, and then we'll give you options. There'll be like 5 or 6 different choices. Or it'll say you have to take something in science, and here are some choices. So you get to choose which one you want within those areas. So you have guidance, and then you also have the flexibility. So you're going to make your schedule how you want to. We're going to tell you these are the times the classes are available. And there are classes that are during the day, during the night, on the weekend, so Saturday and Sunday. There are classes that are online. Some students do classes, all their classes in the morning. Some classes do all their classes just 2 days a week, or some in the night. So you get to choose a type of schedule. So how do you do your schedule, just to help give them an idea?
I usually, and this is very personal, I like to do my classes in the morning, get the classes done from 8 a.m. to probably usually finish those classes in the afternoon, like about 12 at noon. But because I also work, so I need that free time in order for me to like work and do other stuff and study and make homework and to do homework and stuff. So,
yeah, so it works for you. So
exactly.
You can have a flexible schedule that fits in work and school.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about work actually in a minute too. So let's also mention about credit hours. We forgot about the credit hours. So for undergraduate programs, for bachelor degrees, usually you have to earn 120 credit hours at a U.S. university, okay? So 120 credit hours. So that means that each year you typically need to earn about 30 credit hours. And some programs can be a little different. They could ask for a little bit more, a little bit less. So this is just in general. So that means you need to do about 30 credit hours per year, okay? So that means that in one semester, you're usually going to take about 4 or 5 classes. One class equals 3 credit hours. So if you take 4 classes, you will earn 12 credit hours in a semester. If you take 5 classes, you're going to earn 15 credit hours in a semester. So let's say you did 5 classes, then you would have earned 30 credit hours. If you did 12 and 12, you'd have 24, and then what would happen? You could take in the summer, right? Mm-hmm. Do you ever take summer classes?
Yes, I actually, last semester it was the summer semester, and you usually can split out your summer however you like. We have term A, which is the first half, and then we have term B. So in my case, I took the term A in order for me to, do a couple of classes so that I can still have a couple of months for me and vacationing and see my family members overseas, and so it worked perfectly for me. So I didn't, stay a little bit behind with my program. I still work on the classes that I needed to complete, but also I got my vacation, so it was the best of both worlds.
That's perfect. And a lot of colleges in the U.S., they work on a semester system. Mm-hmm. So there's the fall, which is August to December. There's the spring, which is January to May, and there's the summer, which is May to August. But some universities use a quarter system. So like a lot of California schools, they use a quarter, so they'll have 4 times a year. They'll be like spring, summer, winter, fall. So they'll have 4 different quarters. So it depends on which school you go to, how it will break down the courses that are there. So okay, let's talk about something different. You mentioned working. So our next slide is about employment. So let's talk about, I know a lot of students say, hey, can I work? If I go there, can I work on campus, and how does it work? So there are a few different ways to work. One is if you're an international student, this is if you're an international student with an F1 student visa, you can work. There are some regulations that you have to follow. So you can work like you.
Like me. Yes, I actually work at the International Student Office. So that's why I, put all my classes in the morning so that I'm free in the afternoon. And yes, because I'm at campus, it's completely fine. I every week I completed 20 hours, and hey, I'm getting involved with the actual college.
School. Yeah, you're here too. And you also have an opportunity to work off campus. There's 2 ways. The first one is called Curricular Practical Training, or CPT. And that is work that is related to your major or your field of study. So it's like an internship. It's a practical experience that you can do at the school. There are some conditions you have to have approved by your international advisor. You have to have been at the school usually for at least 2 semesters before you can do your CPT. But it's a great opportunity to build your resume and get some work experience.
Yes.
The other opportunity is called Optional Practical Training, or OPT. So once you graduate from a school, so let's say you started at Valencia College, you finished 2 years, you can choose to work for your OPT. You have 1 year. Then you can transfer to university. You can study for 2 more years. Yeah. And then after you graduate, your bachelor's degree, you can work for 1 more year. You can go on to your master's degree. You can study for, let's say, a 1 year's master's degree program. Then you can do OPT again, and you can work for another year. So OPT is a 1 year after you finish any level that you're allowed to work in the U.S. And it also must be related to what you're studying, and it can be part-time or full-time, so 20 to 40 hours per week.
Exactly. And now that you also mentioned, Sally also mentioned the internship, the CPT, curricular practical training. We also have, there are some careers degrees that requires internships as kind of like part of the credits. So it's pretty good the fact that while you're studying, you're getting that work field experience at the same time because it's required, and that works for your resume. And also talking about resume, we also have a department called Career Development, and they help you build that. They have mock-up interviews that help you, to kind of like practice for that actual interview to get the work. So we have very, very helpful resources for you guys here.
And in the U.S. is a popular idea that when you're finishing college or university, you're kind of like a Renaissance man, a Renaissance woman, where you have a lot of skills and a lot of things in your background. So the next slide, we have some information about student activities. And in addition to work, we also expect you to be very active.
Yes.
And there's different ways you can do that. You can do the intramural sports. So that was something we mentioned
with the UFIT program.
Yes. Yeah, if you're interested in sports, you can do that at college. At universities, you can do that more competitively.
Yeah.
And a lot of universities offer sports scholarships to students that are very good at sports. Or you can just do it for fun. You can just do if you just like soccer or football, you can just play for fun and compete with other students for exercise. Mm-hmm. So that's very fun. And you can also do clubs and organizations. So usually U.S. college universities have a lot of opportunities to join in clubs and organizations. There's academic clubs, there's social clubs, there's cultural clubs. So you can choose whichever interest is important for you. And the really important thing with that is you're trying to gain leadership skills. Mm-hmm. Those are ways that you can be involved in. For example, if I'm looking to hire someone, and once you finish college or university, you don't have a lot of work experience. Mm-hmm. Maybe you did an internship, but you don't have a lot. But if I see that you're an accounting major and you were the treasurer of your student club, and then you were in charge of a big fundraiser event and you handled money, then I can see that you have some background. So there has to be other ways at the school that allows you to build your experience as a student, and U.S. colleges and universities want to provide those kind of opportunities for you. Also, volunteering. That's kind of a very important thing for American people, that we give to charity, that we want to volunteer, that we just give free services and want to help out. So you will have a chance as a student too to get to volunteer in the community and get to learn more about the culture and be involved in all of that.
Yes, there is also a very good example of those clubs are VISA, Valencia International
Intercultural Student
Associations. It's pretty cool. They usually go and have dinner in a variety of restaurants, and they try different foods from different cultures because that's the plan. There are a lot of nationalities in that club, and it's very nice. It helps you make friends, avoid that cultural shock that we usually get when we travel overseas. And there are a lot of colleges and universities that also count with GEANS.
Yes.
Because it is very important for you guys to not also be studying all the time, but it's you always need to be very active physically in order to keep your healthy up. So that's
you have to with too. American food. You have to exercise.
Fast food, no. One time a month maybe.
McDonald's and donuts and all these kind of things. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
So make sure that if you're watching us live, that you're typing any questions that you have in the sidebar, and in a few minutes we're going to be looking to see which questions that we can answer, and Victoria's going to help us with that. Now we're just going to tell you for just a couple of minutes about the college where we work. It's called Valencia College. So our next slide, we have a few details. We are a pretty well-known community college in the U.S. We are famous for being the inaugural winner of the Aspen Award for Excellence. It's kind of like a ranking of community colleges in the U.S. We won that award. We even hosted President Obama on campus last year. He gave a speech to students and staff. We are a college that is the 4th largest sender of students to universities. So we are sending a lot of students to universities all over the U.S. So great opportunities if you're looking for good schools to get into. There are over 1,000 international students here at Valencia College from over 100 countries. So you're going to be studying with people from all over the world. when you're here. We have students from Brazil, and Venezuela. We have students from Saudi Arabia and Vietnam, and from China and Morocco. We have a lot of students. So a lot of different countries of people that you're going to get to meet up with. And then on our next slide, we have some information of a few of the different programs that are really cool that we offer. We offer an ESL for teens. So as we mentioned, the school's in Orlando, Florida, which is the home of what? Disney World.
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of people come to Orlando for a vacation. It's one of the top tourist destinations in the country. And if you are in high school and you want to come to Florida, and you want to come for a couple of weeks or a month, and you want to study English and you want to get to see what college is like, you can come to Valencia for our ESL for Teens program, and then while you're here, you can visit Disney and NASA, Space Center, Universal, and all of the parks and all of that stuff. It's a really great program. Another program we have is an intensive English program. So those are for students that want to come for a few months, or they want to come for, for a year, or however much time they need, and they want to come and study English either for professional development, or maybe they're interested in going to graduate school, or they're interested in coming to Valencia to study to earn their degree. So it's going to help you a lot. It's in a fully accredited intensive English program. It's really excellent.
Yeah, I actually have a friend that's there in the intensive English program, and she will be, once that she finishes, she's going to be transferred directly to the degree side. So that's another advantage that the program has. Yes.
Yeah, so it'll help you make smooth transitions to college and university. Exactly. And then the other thing we offer is degree programs. We have the associate degree programs, and we have actually one bachelor's degree program too that students can do here at Valencia College. So we have our contact information on the last slide. We hope that you'll consider reaching out to us if you want more information about the school. And we have Skype, and we have email.
Yes, I will encourage you guys to check out our Facebook page, Valencia College International Students. Everyone help each other out. If you need to find roommate, if you're selling books or something, we always are helping each other out. If we want to, like plan some trip, or we just want to make friends, okay? And also, yes, because we need those. Family members are not here with us anymore, but also, please check out our virtual tour, because you will be able to kind of like feel that you're here visiting all 5 campuses. There is East, West, Lake Nona, Winter Park, and Osceola. So it's pretty cool. And they also have an app. So feel free to, download that and check out our campuses.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to turn it back over to Victoria and to see if there are any questions from our audience, from the audience that's there, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay, the first question is, can international students enroll into community college?
Of course, you can. Hey, me, a live example, okay? So yes, once that you get your I-20 and get your student visa F1, you're all set to come here, yes.
Yeah, so you can enroll in community college, and it's an option that I think not a lot of international students realize or think about. But once they realize they have that choice, they're usually pretty happy.
Pretty powerful,
because it's a good deal. Okay, so next question is, we have from Subir. It says, I'm looking for a pre-med program for my daughter who's in her senior year in U.S. now, but since she is still on my work dependent, I-4, okay, she'll be an international student, can you limit the programs and the scholarships for her? Okay, so the question is, there's a student in the U.S. and she's looking for pre-med programs, and she has a special visa. It's called an H-4 visa, so it means that her parents have a work visa and she has an H-4. So some colleges and universities will have a little bit of a different policy, but usually if she has an H-4, we consider her kind of like a domestic student because she's been living in the U.S. for a long period of time. She can apply like normal, for international students. One of the things that's different is to come with a student visa, you have to show that you have financial support. So like a bank statement or a bank letter in order to get the visa. For the H-4, they don't have to do that. They're just going to apply to the school, submit their high school documents. And most colleges and universities are going to offer what she referred to as a pre-med type of program. So you really want to look for schools that have pre-med organizations that have connections with particular medical schools that maybe make it easier. And it's really important that you have good grades as a pre-med student, because to go to medical school, you have to have a very high grade point average and be able to take the what's called the MCAT exam. It's a special examination to get into medical school. So look for a school where you think that your daughter is going to be successful, and then have a lot of support that's going to be there. But there are a lot of great options. You know, you have to think about all the things that we talked about earlier about size and location and type of school, and find really what's the best fit for you, and that's going to prepare her to be able to get accepted to a medical school later. So hopefully that helps to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next question.
Next question is, are there any financial aids for international students? Well,
good question.
Yes, that is a very good question. We get that a lot.
So in general, there are universities that offer scholarships to international students. There are different types of scholarships, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're a graduate student, there's usually like assistantships or fellowships that you can apply for, so it's based on like academics and your background. At the undergraduate level, there are sports scholarships. There are like performance-based scholarships, so like music, theater, and there are academic scholarships, merit scholarships, or there's aid, which is based on your financial need. Mm-hmm. So some schools don't offer any scholarships to international students, so you need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And some colleges and universities do offer some of those. So if you think that you're going to need that, it's important to check and see which schools offer those kind of opportunities and how much they offer. Mm-hmm. One important thing you need to consider too is, how much does the school cost? Okay, so your first question to a school should not be, do you offer scholarships? How much is the scholarship? Okay, the question should be, how much is the cost to go to your school? Because you could have a school that the cost is $60,000 a year, and you said to them, do you offer scholarships? And they say, yeah, we offer scholarships. We'll give you $20,000 scholarship, and then, you know, the amount is $40,000 a year. Yeah. Or you could have another school where you say, do you offer scholarships? And they say no, but the cost is only $20,000 a year, or something like that. So the first question you want to ask is, how much does it cost to go to the school? And then, do you offer any scholarships? How do I apply? How can I get it? At Valencia College, we have some. We have some particular scholarships. They're for students from particular regions that you can apply for, but not all. So we have on our website, we have a listing of the different ones that you can apply for, but our overall cost, as we mentioned, is usually much lower than other colleges and universities. So most of the time we're going to be cheaper than a university that would even offer you a scholarship. So I want you to consider that as well. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, what's the next question?
The next question is, what is the name of the volunteer association? It is usually student development here at Valencia. In this case, it is actually the department that they always are looking for volunteers. Actually, a couple of days ago, we had an event, and they were looking for volunteers. I believe it was college night event. So they got really a lot of volunteers, and again, it really helps you to put that experience into your resume and builds up your profile as a co-worker. So it's pretty good. So student development is the right place to go. Of course, I will always encourage you guys to ask that particular university, because the system might be different, but here in Valencia, it's student development.
Yeah, there could be different names for the office where the volunteering is, but most schools will have some office for you to do volunteering at the school or volunteering off campus, both. Mm-hmm. So awesome. Okay. Okay, this is a really good question we have coming in. It says, what if you already have a university degree and would like to evaluate it so you don't have to start from the scratch? So that happens a lot. There are students that have studied at a university back home, mm-hmm. and they've either completed a degree or they just started it and didn't finish, and they want to find out about transferring those classes over. So you can do that. There's different schools have different policies, okay? Some schools will request that you have those records from that university that you attended sent directly from the school, and then they will evaluate whether or not they can transfer those classes. And some schools will require you to have a special credential evaluation report prepared by an outside company. And there's a lot of different companies that offer that service. So you would then submit your records to that company, and then they prepare a report that gets sent to the schools, any school that you apply to, and it gives a summary. And it's going to say, this student went to this university in, Mexico or whatever, and these are the classes they took, and these are the U.S. equivalent grades and the U.S. equivalent credit hours, and that lets us know how we can transfer those classes. If you took general classes or classes that are offered very similar to the university you're going, those might most likely transfer. So, like, for example, if you took microeconomics, and then we have here at the college microeconomics, usually that's something that's going to transfer. But if you took something that was very specific or very technical, or it's like I took, English, French culture of this and science and blah, 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 usually that's not going to transfer because we're not going to have the same course to transfer it. So don't expect that all your courses are going to transfer. Usually never happens. Usually some of your courses are going to transfer, so that way you're not starting from the beginning, but probably not all of them. But that's basically the way that it's going to work. It's either the university's going to evaluate it, or you'll do an outside evaluation for us to get to review. Okay, good question. What's the next one?
Next question is, what is the policy of U.S. colleges and universities in admitting mature students?
Okay.
Are there special departments for them, or do they get admitted to regular college university?
So I'm assuming that by mature students, that you mean students that are older than, sort of the 18 to 20-year-old. Usually, especially for a community college, it's very typical that we have students at all ages.
Yeah.
We actually have families that come. Sometimes we have the mom that comes, and then we also have the son or daughter, and they're studying here at the college.
Yeah.
There's not really a different policy. We'd still need to see, your academic record, and there would still be sort of the same criteria. So as far as admissions, it's pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I think probably at community college it's more typical. But you would see at universities too. There's not really like an age limit that you can meet. So anybody can go to those schools. Okay. The next question is. Hi, I'm looking for a master's in entrepreneurial management or social enterprise. Do you have any masters without GMAT or GRE or financial scholarships for international students? Okay, so because we're a community college, we don't offer master's degrees. So you would have to look for a university that offers those particular master degree programs of what you're looking for. Most universities require the GRE exam, which is an exam to get into graduate school, or the GMAT exam. The GMAT exam is usually for business type programs that you want to apply for. So most likely you're going to have to take one or other, and most likely if that school is offering a scholarship, they're going to want those exams. So it'll be typical that they will have a scholarship, but they'll say, we want to see your exam results in order to get that award. It's not impossible that you would have a school that doesn't require GRE or GMAT, or that would just give you a scholarship, but I don't know of any.
Mm-hmm.
And but you will have to do some research online and see if you can find some. I would just focus on universities that offer those types of programs. Okay, thank you for your question. Let's see if we have anything else here. Yeah, what about that?
What's the name of panelist in blue?
That's you.
Oh, me? That's me?
Yeah.
Oh, my name is Margaret, and I'm from Venezuela. I couldn't read the entire question.
And then what are you studying?
Yes, I'm studying an Associates in Arts, articulated in public relations communications, because my final plan is to transfer to a university and finish a bachelor's in advertising, because I like publicity.
Yes, and she's actually very good with also graphic design.
Yeah.
She put together the PowerPoint presentation for today.
Hey, and another thing that I would like to mention is that if you, again, with that question about masters and stuff, the graphic of the U.S. letter, it's a very good graphic to, like follow up and exactly understand what's the next step for you in your education, wherever you guys are on the ladder. Yeah, so it's important.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. So it says, hi, I'm Tojo, and I'm interested in computer programming. So I would like to study at your university. I don't know how. I'm struggling, and I would like to know the procedure. Okay, so the question is about how to apply to the school. So to apply to Valencia College, it's really easy. You need to submit an online application. You have to submit your previous academic records, so from your high school or from a university, like we mentioned earlier. You need to have results from the TOEFL or the IELTS exam. Those are English tests. So it's an English exam that we can see your level of English proficiency. You'll submit a copy of your passport, and then also you have to submit a bank statement or letter to show you have enough funds to cover your educational expenses for at least the first year.
Yes.
And you'll need that in order to apply for an F1 visa at the U.S. Embassy abroad to come in. So that's it. Application, your academic records, TOEFL or IELTS, passport, and financial document. We submit those things, and we accept students 3 times a year.
Yes.
So you can apply now. Start in January.
Email us. Check out our website too. You can find every single form there, so it's a pretty helpful source for you guys.
Okay, great. So do we have any other questions?
This is different. Okay, so let's answer this one. What is the difference between need-blind and need-aware policy regarding financial aid some universities offer when admitting international students to study?
So the last question is about universities that are either need-aware or need-blind. That means that when they're deciding if they want to accept you, they will consider if you've submitted a bank statement or not, if you have enough funds in the decision for the admission. For example, they may decide not to accept you if they don't think that you have enough funding to come to that school. So that's what that definition means. Most schools are need-blind, which means that they will just admit you based on your academics, and then from there turn it to you to see if they offer you scholarships or not, and if you'll be able to afford it, which is what need-blind means. But need-aware would be a school that is considering your financial background when making the decisions on your admissions. We're need-blind. We're just going to pretty much accept you if you meet the academic qualification. Exactly. But the part with the visa will come when we talk about the financial.
That's the last question, guys.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, that's the last question. We hope you learned a little bit today about the U.S. higher education system, and that we hope to see you in Orlando if it's for vacation and you just want to visit us, or if you want to come and study with us in English or a degree program. We thank you very much for listening.
For listening. And remember, guys, check us on Facebook, check the virtual tour, and also check out on the showcase bar our videos. We had a very good video about how is the orientation of international students. It's pretty good, some salsa there. So thank you very much for watching us.
Thanks so much to Talia and to Margaret for their wonderful insight, and thanks to all of you who have participated. For more information about Valencia College or to contact these advisors directly, be sure to visit the Valencia profile on internationalstudent.com or go to their website. Thanks and have a great day.